Senku's flashback is concluded, but it's not exactly concluded if he will survive or not. But we are treated. But this is the Doctor Stone chapter 14, and I am the Anger and Fan the Despair viewer. And we get a quote from Einstein: "Thinking for its own sake, as in music." Albert Einstein. We see Senku having now built his house with the monkey still watching him. It's during that time he comically collapses, meaning that yeah, the guy is all brains, no brawn. It's kind of funny how he does that. So he began to look for the one thing that would give him strength, and he recognized an arm sticking out from the ground, and he saw that arm which was near him. As he not buried, as he digged for it, he recognized the body as the big oaf of his friend Taiju. However, he begins to also think of why did everything turn to stone? And yeah, that's a good question. Either it was aliens wanting revenge, a new kind of secret weapon, or some kind of strain virus. Senku began to think this is one of those Dr. Stone's more uh, nice thinking, that he begins to think through these kind of arguments. Although they are difficult to understand, it sometimes makes the story very, drawn in. Even though you don't know anything about science and not learned anything from it, it still feels like something about this makes it very worthwhile. So we began to wonder, why is it that pigeons or doves and humans were the only ones affected? Yeah, that's the good question. Why didn't animals get affected, and why did only the flying doves get affected? So he began to wonder, why did they also break, and why did his break? Going back to his place where he found himself when he degraded, he uh, he looks for. I mean, he made a marking of where he was. So he notes that the one on his head fell first, and that was the cave he found the nitric acid of the bat's crap. So and when it affected him and his degradation, it immediately broke. Unfortunately, it did not work on the others, as we know. So he began to think of what made him so much different. And apparently, for 3,700 years, Senku was conscious. Well, technically, Taiju was too. I mean, he kept himself alive through sheer will, although Senku did it because he constantly counted to pass the time. I mean, you have to say, how can you not go insane of being stuck and still be aware, counting every single time for those 3,000? How can you not go crazy? Anyone would go crazy for that. I guess that's one of the other strong points of Dr. Stone, is that the characters should be insane, but they aren't. But apparently, according to Senku, the more you think, the more you burn calories. So he must have burned a lot of energy. And he mentions the EMC, the or the E together MC, whatever they're called. That is a foundation of science that Albert Einstein used to energy that can be created from nothing. So in order for his brain to function to count, something must have been consuming the thing. So is Senku trying to say that he actually consumed his rocks, whatever? That's the only thing that I don't really understand. However, he begins to experiment and creates a tattoo of this conviction, saying like a science from this thing that will never falter. He wants to find everything else. He then dumps Taiju in a cave and looks at the rain and wonders, "You never give up on anything, so please come back, Taiju." And then we're treated back to the flash, with the flashback end, with Taiju screaming to the Senku to come back. And strangely enough, Senku looks up, so is it possible that he is dreaming for all of this while he's reminiscing? Is Senku gonna wake up and is he gonna survive? Who knows? But I hope he does. He's an interesting character, the way he's so intelligent and comedic at the same time. But yeah, it's basically him and Taiju. It's basically like he is the brawn, Taiju is the. No, did I really just say that? Senku is the brains. Taiju is the bronze. So was it. And they can't do anything without them. Either way, that final scene is a little bit emotional with the Taiju crying the manly tales of screaming to come back Senku. And he looks up in the sky, almost like he can hear his friend. Is he in limbo, or is he reminiscing his past when he woke up before he's gonna die? Who knows? All in all, still not exactly answered the question on why his degradation was different. How did he consume energy? Did his body somehow consume the material inside it, or the material around him? Give me your thoughts if you have any.